Welcome to my reaction to Week 6 Giants football. This week they played the Washington football team, and let's get into my thoughts of it. Alright, so first of all, I don't really think they deserved to win that game. Washington blew it at the end. I don't understand why they went for two there. Made no sense. The 2-point conversion play call wasn't that bad. But it just made no sense to go do that kind of play or do a 2-point conversion. Why not just go into overtime with a tie game? But let's talk about how we got to that point. Mainly the fourth quarter. Now the fourth quarter for the Giants was pretty bad. There were some good moments. The Tay Crowder scoop and score. That was pretty good. I really thought they were going to win that game. They were going to win the game after that, and obviously the Washington football team drove down the field and almost scored did score a touchdown, but they didn't get the 2-point. Obviously, there that was pretty disappointing. I felt the pass coverage on that was pretty bad. Also, earlier in the fourth quarter, with around 11 minutes left, Daniel Jones threw an interception to Kyle Fuller. The throw was a little bit off. I can understand why you're throwing in that general direction right there. Someone wasn't. It wasn't. I forgot who was intended for, but I understand the way you framing that pass was he threw it all the way to the back of the end zone when he should have threw it to the side of the end zone to make sure if someone was going to catch that ball, because it was a hard catch to make. If someone was going to catch that ball, it would have been a Giants wide receiver. But instead, it was a interception to Kyle Allen. Excuse me, not Kyle Fuller. But yeah, that wasn't really good. But let's back out again a little bit. This is kind of out of order, but I mean that fourth quarter was very monumental in this game today. Let's talk about this first quarter first. So in the first quarter of this game, it really did seem like the Giants were going to win this week. I feel like that's been very commonplace for the last couple weeks. The Giants were able to drive down the field and get a Darius Slayton 23-yard pass to a touchdown, which would be huge as they take a 10-point lead. And also they would have a Graham Gano field goal a little bit earlier in the game. Now, I kind of want to talk about next is those last 2 minutes of the second quarter. Where the Redskins were able to drive downfield and of a 13-play, 70-yard drive, the Redskins were able to score a touchdown to make it a 3-score game. And I feel like it's been very commonplace. This Giants team has not been good at finishing the first half of games, and especially the defense. And that's been very crucial in these games because They've been losing a lot of these games by 1 scores, and it's been it didn't cost them this week as they obviously won, but it's something they definitely gotta work on. They gotta finish strong. They gotta finish first half stronger than they are now. The thing that is kind of interesting, or kind of a positive and a negative for the Giants going forward, is that the offensive line rookies Matt Pearl and Andrew Thomas, they seem to produce different results. Andrew Thomas, he didn't play in the first half of this game due to, according to Jordan Ramadan, New York Giants beat reporter, due to non-performance issues. The Giants didn't say what it was, why he didn't play in the first half of this game. But he started in the second half, and he looked pretty bad. But on the other hand, Matt Pearl, their third-round selection, actually played pretty well this week, and he looks to be maybe their starter going forward. So obviously, Andrew Thomas is a pretty big disappointment. I mean, they did spend the 4th overall pick on him, and it doesn't seem to be looking well through 6 games so far. Things could obviously change. It is still very young in his career, but it is looking good for Andrew Thomas. But Matt Perret is looking pretty good. The left tackle position. Daniel Jones, how was his performance this week? It was okay. Passing, nothing really great, nothing really bad. Completed 12 of his 19 passes, threw for 112 yards. Had one touchdown and one interception. Again, that one interception could have been. It was very close for Kyle Allen's interception to be out of bounds. But the pass wasn't completely accurate. So I mean, on the scale of 1 to 10, how much credit does he deserve for that interception? I would say like a 7 or a 6. But yeah, it wasn't the worst throw in the world, but it wasn't a good throw. But let's go back to some positives about Daniel Jones' performance this week. He had one pretty good run. It was off a fake handoff to Devontae Freeman. It even caught the cameraman as Daniel Jones was able to run up the side for 49 yards, which is a pretty huge run in, I believe, the second quarter of this game, which is pretty huge. He ended up having 74 yards on 7 carries for an average of 10.6 per carry. Now, the passing attack, they didn't go to it a lot during this game. They only had 19 passes, in contrast, they had 26 rushes. So they definitely favored the rush in this game, but still more of a balanced attack as per usual. Now let's get to the defense in this performance for the Giants. How did the Giants defense do this week? Well, on the run, they did okay. They were able to limit the Washington football team to 86 yards on 24 carries, which is an average of 3.6, which isn't bad per se, but it's not great. This Giants defense has been pretty average all year. The Giants passing attack today was pretty bad. Kyle Allen threw for 280 yards on 31 and out of 42 passes. He threw for 32. He completed 31 of his 42 passes today. He threw for 2 touchdowns. The Giants were able to have an interception in this game, which belonged to James Bradberry, which was in actually the first quarter of this game. And remember what I said earlier, the Giants really seemed like they were going to dominate in the first quarter of this game. That obviously was not the case. But yeah, it really wasn't a great day for the pass coverage besides that James Bradberry interception for the Giants. Terry McLaurin, he had 7 receptions or 74 yards. Dante Imram, he had 5 receptions, 5 targets for 45 yards. J.D. McKinsick, he had 6 receptions of 6 targets for 43 yards. Logan Thomas had 3 receptions out of 42 yards on 4 targets. And he also had a touchdown. So I think you kind of get what I'm trying to say. It really wasn't a great day for the Giants' pass coverage. But yeah, I mean that's really it. I guess the one thing I could really talk about is the possession. The Giants did not win the possession game today. Possession difference ended up being 33 Washington, 26 New York. But in the fourth quarter, it was pretty heavily favored for the Washington football team. It ended up being like 10 minutes for Washington and like around 4 or 5 minutes for the New York Giants, which is not good and which is not a recipe for success. You got to have the ball to, score and all that stuff. So yeah. But anyways, the Giants get a win today. And I know last week I said they're kind of out the NFC East. I mean, going 0-5 doesn't really put you in great position for the playoffs. But again, this is the NFC East. And with the Eagles losing, they're kind of in it. They're only a game, I think a game back or 2 games back of the NFC East. So who knows? Maybe they make the playoffs. Probably not. But yeah, that's really all I got in this video. Like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.